All right, good morning, good morning. This is New Eric Gardner. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. This is, today is Sunday, and I'm going to go through a couple of bins. These are a couple of newer bins that I actually did not too long ago. They're probably maybe about a month old, if that. So, the biggest thing is I want to check just to see how the bin is doing. And that's what you really want to do, is look at the condition of the bin. How's the bedding? Good moisture or no moisture? So I want to just use my probe. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but we're going to try it. All right. So right now I'm going to put it on moisture. And I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up. Trying to get it so it stands on its own. So we're right about at moisture. Some areas are a little bit different. So we have some good moisture there. But let's try pH. pH in this particular bin looks to be about 6.5. So that's not bad either. You want 6.5 to 7, 7.5. So that's actually good. So now I'm just going to go in and kind of stir up the bin and kind of see where we're at. Looking around, I don't have a bunch of creepy crawling out or anything like that. No mite problem, no bug infestation. And that's what I'm really looking for when I'm checking the bins. And as you see, there's good moisture. There is still some paper. This will probably be the first time that this bin has been kind of blended over. So, and as you can see, nice beautiful worms. They're very happy. Castings look good. Beautiful. And that's what we're looking for, good moisture content, nice fat worms, nice healthy worms. It's a very good moist bin. Yeah, they're doing very well. And this bin was made up of, like always, cardboard, newspaper, alpaca manure, shredded, and peat moss. So it's a good populated bin. I do see some cocoons. Not a ton of cocoons, but these are nice mature worms. Nice, beautiful. And that's what you want to do. We have some nice mature worms here. As you can see, they have their ring, so they're mature. So, and they were definitely happy staying underneath, not crawling out. Good moisture content. Plenty of food for them to stay busy. I think this bin, if I'm correct, this bin will not be harvested until about August or September. So they're doing very, very well. And that's when you got to really start looking at them, because even though I'm using manure and peat moss, I'm not using a 50-50 mix. So I'm probably using a, let's say, 70-30 mix as far as peat moss to manure. So the amount of worms that you actually have in here, they will go through that manure and kill that manure, eat that all up. So you really do have to watch. I actually had a bin that I checked on yesterday. The worms were kind of crawling around a little more than I like to see them crawling around on the side of the bins. So after I checked the moisture just to make sure everything was right, checked the pH, make sure we were good there, the only thing I could do is say maybe they're hungry. Maybe they depleted all of the manure. So I put a nice coating of manure on the top. I didn't go crazy. I just put a nice little layer on top and came back this morning, and as soon as I opened it up, and my lights are on down here in the basement, as soon as I opened it up, you could see them just bouncing their heads right back under the bedding. So they were eating that manure. So that kind of tells me that part of that problem is the food is completed in that bin. So you do want to feed them. So, and that bin is only a month old. So they will go through it. So it just depends on how much bedding you put in there and how much manure and things like that. So, and how many worms are in there. So this bin looks really good. I'm happy with this bin. This bin is doing good moisture, no issues to report. We're always looking for those issues. You know, I'm one of those guys, if I see any type of bug issue in here, I want to take care of it as quickly as possible. But sometimes a little bit of bug activity is okay. You are going to have some mites in here. You are going to have some flies in here. As long as you do not allow it to become out of control, then it's okay. So, and as long as you keep your moisture level right, not too wet, the mites aren't going to really live that long anyway. So we're doing good on that. So, all right, so that's the first bin that we looked at. We are going to look at another bin. So let's get at it. Let's grab another bin. If you look at this bin is a little dry in certain areas. You do see that there has been worms crawling around. It is a little more chunkier. And that could just be that I didn't sift through the castings. Through the alpaca manure. But when I lift this up, this is beautiful moisture underneath. Good moisture. And that's why it's important when you're going through, look at those worms, little pocket of worms. Now, this particular bin did have a 1 on it with a slash under it, which meant and reminded me that this particular bin needed to be repopulated. And the 1 means that really needs to be done, and the slash under it means it should be the first bin or second bin. I did get some worms from Uncle Jim's Worm Farm, and if you look at these worms, they're very small worms, and I think his is sold as a mixture. So you get a mixture of blue worms and red wigglers. So those worms, they look great, but they're small. They've been in here for maybe, I got the worms probably last month sometime. They're still kind of small, but there's good moisture in here. And just, let's just be real. That's a worm that's been in there already for some time. This was the original bin that I just added more worms. And that's what that red wiggler looks like. I mean, he's a big boy. So, and as you can see, there are some other ones in here. Nice sized worms compared to those little ones. So, that's what makes me believe that those are blue worms. And they love to crawl. That's the only thing I don't like about the blue worms. I mean, there's another pocket of those red wigglers and blue worms. That's the only thing about the blue worms. Oh, here's another pocket. They just kind of stuck together. You know, they didn't kind of break themselves apart, and that was from that corner. Let's see if we have another pocket. No, we don't have another pocket, but these are the regular worms that were already inhabiting this bin. Those are nice size, what I would say is red wigglers. So, very lively, very happy. Let's see what we got in the corner here. They always like to kind of hang out in the corner. I mean, as you saw, this particular bin pretty much kind of was ready to be harvested on 8:30. So we have a little more time before it's ready to be harvested. But it's got good moisture to it. I'm just going to bury these pockets of worms. I don't want to leave them on the top. And it's very important that when you do go through your bins and you're look at the moisture and you say, okay, all right, the moisture's a little dry on that. If you're going to use a sprayer, which I have a sprayer, and you're just gonna wet the top of it down pretty good, then that's fine. But if I do like I usually do, I actually have a bottle I made, put a couple of holes in the top, and I squirt my water out that way. And it lets out quite a bit of water, but not something that saturates it. Then I always mix up the bin, put that bin aside, allow the worms to get reacclimated to the bin, let them go down, let them get comfortable again, and then I go ahead and I water the bin. I don't want the worms sitting on top, sitting in any type of moisture when I add that water. I like to let them go back down and then water that. And once I water it, then I may come back, depending on if I'm doing it like in the morning right now, I might come back tonight and check on the bin, and then I'll stir it up and get that moisture mixed up in there. Or sometimes I just leave it. All right, so that's what you kind of want to do. But you know what, maybe we're going to look at one more bin. Let me look and see another bin that's actually been done around the same time and kind of look at that. All right, give me a second. I'm going to put this one away and grab another one. Okay, I'm back. I grabbed another bin. This one has a green sticker on it, so it pretty much was something that I put a lot of worms into I believe this was one of the worms bins that I actually did from Uncle Jim. Now, if you look at this particular bin, I can tell from looking at this one's a little dry on top, and it really needs to be moistened. But like I said, I don't like to just add water looking at the top, because underneath might be fine. I could see on this side wall, there's been a lot of activity, but I don't see a lot of dirt on the top or anything that when they're dragging out. So they may just be going up. But I'm gonna first stir this up and see how we look. There is no bug activity on top. There's no worm activity on top. So I'm hoping that as I dig down, there's plenty of moisture and they're doing just fine. All right, so let's get at it. Let's see what we got down there, because that's a little dry on top. That's dry. All right, so yeah, even down low is a little dry. But once again, these are the red wigglers slash blue worms, the mixture of worms. And if they're in a pocket like this, I don't know how much they're really eating and kind of getting around if they're in a pocket like that. But that was the first pocket of worms. Here's a second pocket of worms. So, and it could just be their defense. So I don't want to be negative, but it could be their defense of the moisture level that's in the bin or not in the bin, that they're actually kind of just hovering together just to keep their moisture content. And always, when you mix up a bin like I'm doing right now, you always want to come back afterwards and check just to make sure, because now you just mixed everything up and the worms start to go, oh, something's wrong here, let me get out of here. And they will start to crawl and get on top and start to crawl out of your bin. So you don't want to just, check your bins, stir them up, add moisture, and just run away. And just put the bin back, and that's the end of it. Because I can see right now, I don't know if you can see it, some of those worms have come to the top. Some of them are trying to go back down, but you don't know what's going to happen. So you don't want to just turn your back on and go, okay, all right, I mixed it up, we're looking good, on to the next bin. Move to the next bin, but definitely come back and remember what bins you actually mixed up, and come back and just make sure they're not crawling out. Because if you do it like me at nighttime, sometimes late evening before I start settling in, I'll come down and I'll just mix up my bins, check the moisture, and then I'll come in, I'll get up in the morning and come downstairs here, and I'll happen to notice that there's 20, 30 worms on the floor, and that's not good. So you just lost 30 worms out of there. That could definitely turn into being 90 worms, 120 worms when they have a cocoon. So you're losing those worms. All right, so you definitely want to check it. So I know that this is one that I checked, and I'll come back in a while and I'll check it just to make sure. But also I'm going to check this one because I'm going to add some moisture to it. All right, so this one really looks good. So it does look good, but it does need some moisture in it. All right, so I'm going to add some moisture to it later, and once they kind of get settled back in, and we'll go from there. All right, so that's all I'm going to talk about today with these particular bins. I just wanted to show the bins, see how they were going, how they were doing, and they're looking good. So we're happy with that, and I have more bins to go through, and I'll probably make a couple more videos showing what those bins look like. All right. Once again, New Era Gardener. I appreciate you watching the video, and I appreciate everybody that leaves comments. I appreciate everybody that actually subscribes to the channel. I will be doing a little more videos on the biochar because I have some things I'm going to try with the biochar and see how that does. So I like to share it with you guys and see what you think. All right. New Era Gardener. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.